Elliot,
Hello.
I don't have a specific intro for today.
Brilliant.
I'm normally really good with these.
That was really good. Roll the music.
Our pre-podcast conversation was how Americans suck, which I don't feel like we need to go into.
Yeah,
I'm pretty confident in that matter.
Like we could have. I could do a whole podcast on my least and most favorite nations in the world. You'd be here a long time just for the least bit. It might have to be two separate podcasts.
We'll save that for an off-season podcast. Yeah. We'll make sure we can offend every Counter-Strike country in the world. Not
all of them. I like Poland.
Okay,
I really like Poland.
Yeah,
that's about it. Okay. But...
All right, let's roll the intro. All right, so if you're coming to us today and you really had a question about what we were going to talk about, where the fuck have you been? Unless you're my beer league teammate that started listening to us last week, which in that case,
welcome.
I guess you can have an welcome. I guess you can kind of have an idea.
We don't have an intro, and fuck you. Brilliant, yeah. He's definitely coming back.
We're excellent at this, man. I realized the other day we've been podcasting for 3 years.
Yeah, it was been 2.5 years since I came to New York and I saw you in New York and we were making the podcast then because we made a live version.
We never did a live version ever since.
We had a wonderful burger though.
We did have a wonderful.
It was really
burger.
good.
Ooh, I've had the burger that you had,
the blueberry and brie one.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
I've had that since. Oh,
I dream about it every so often. Honestly, it's wonderful. I trusted Logan to find me a good place to eat, and it was like next to a laundromat. It was like this tiny little place.
It's actually next to a hospital.
Yeah.
Which I think is even funnier.
Yeah, because I would have eaten until I needed a stomach transplant. It was wonderful.
Yeah, no, that place. Oh, okay. RMRs. That's what's going on in Counter-Strike right now. There's RMR A, there's a bit in the middle, and then there's RMR B. Mm-hmm. We'll do all 3 bits. I just hit a monitor. Awesome. Okay. RMR A. We had some certainties coming into this. We were pretty sure who was going to make it through. We were pretty sure it was going to be G2 FaZe Navi. We were certain about those.
Yeah.
We were fairly certain that Falcons was going to make through.
Yeah.
And then we started to have questions after that bit of, and we both thought Eternal Fire would make it through.
Mm-hmm.
After that set of 6, there were a lot of questions from us on who would actually make their way through the RMR. There were 2 more regular spots. There were 3 more last chance qualifier spots.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's start at the top of who did make it through. Virtus Pro and G2 both went 3-0.
Yep.
This makes sense.
Yep. Kind of
this
expected.
Tracks. It's exactly what we wanted.
VP always seem to whenever they have a bad event, they're just really good for the next event, the next big event.
Yeah.
And they were really good at the RMR.
They were really fucking good. Yeah. So they beat Saw. They beat Fnatic even more convincingly than they had beaten Saw. Mm-hmm. And then they beat Navi 2-0.
Yep.
Really fucking good. G2 beat Into the Breach. Beat Eternal Fire, which went to overtime, which was a good match.
Yeah.
The best one.
Eternal Fire legit.
And then beat FaZe 2-0.
Mm-hmm. That's the real marquee result, right?
Yeah, that's...
Whatever you sort of... I don't really know what to think of FaZe at the moment. Obviously they're good. I'm not going to say I don't know if they're good. They're obviously good, but I don't know if they're championship caliber. Obviously they were at the Katowice final. Vitality fucked it up in the group stages. They didn't look that convincing against MOUZ after. Well, obviously they went into a big lead, but then they nearly lost it in a way that would have been very unfazed like. And they did get quite soundly beaten by G2, and it's they're clearly good, and they probably will step it up when it really matters. But I don't know if they're still the second or third best team in the world. I think time will tell. But
they may be the second or third best team in the world, but it may be because of process of elimination of other teams.
Yeah.
It may not. They may be the second or third best team in the world not on their own merit, but on the demerit of others.
Yeah, I think it does help their case. They seem to have they seem to always beat MOUZ, like, who I would say are really on the cusp.
Well,
they do always seem to beat MOUZ.
I'm really happy that they always beat their academy team. That's what you expect from a main team.
If they keep beating them, why do they keep making their players?
That was a little mean. That was a little mean.
They keep beating them and then taking their players. Like, well, surely you don't want their players. Your players are better than theirs.
Well, but their players keep going elsewhere. Yeah. All right. So Virtus Pro and G2 make it through 3-0, both the two winners of the tournament. Great. They make it through. I think they go right to the Legends. Oh, Legend. Okay, so note, because it had been said before, Legend stage this major is determined by the Valve regional rankings. So basically, they take everyone who gets through, and then they take the people who are ranked the highest in the regional rankings, and they're the Legends. So we won't know Legends until everyone is through, or unless you're like 1 or 2 in the Legends.
Yeah, you can have
the rankings.
You can kind of guess who's going to be the Legends, but yeah, you don't.
Yeah, we can. I can tell you G2's probably going to be a Legend. I could say Virtus Pro probably will be as well, but we'll see.
It should be. It should be who you expect.
It should be who you expect. The Valve rankings have gotten better. I wouldn't say they're perfect, but they've gotten better.
No ranking system will ever be perfect because it will all have some level of subjectivity. No matter what people tell you, there will always be some level of subjectivity as to what is or isn't more important.
Correct. Okay. 3rd through 5th place. These are the teams that went 3-1 in the bracket. Navi FaZe both make sense. They both lost to Virtus Pro and G2 respectively in the 3-0 match, and then they won in the follow-up. So they beat FaZe beat Eternal Fire 2-0 in a best of 3. Navi beat BetBoom. Okay.
Yep.
All makes sense. Makes sense to me. You may have noticed I said 3rd to 5th, and I only mentioned 2 teams. May I present to you Movistar Koi?
Yeah. Which we have to call them Koi. I think that's the name they're going by. But like, I think
Koi is the official name.
We can all agree Movistar Riders was a much better name, even though Movistar is like a phone company. But like, it just sounds cool.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. In at least they're not Mad Lions Koi, which is what their LEC team is.
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense either.
At least they haven't gone full deep in that. Yeah. I like just Koi better.
I just prefer Movistar Riders personally.
I liked Movistar Riders, but if we're switching it, Koi over Mad Lions Koi is probably better.
I don't know how this team's good. If I'm being completely real, I don't know how this team is good.
Yeah. So they lost to Navi in a best of 1. They beat 3D Max, who,
fine.
Spoiler alert, did not make the major. Did not make the
they're not terrible.
Qualifier. They're not terrible, but they were not the same 3D Max squad that I had hoped for.
They're the exact one I hoped for. I don't like the French. Going back to the early conversation.
Yeah. They beat 9 Pandas, who
that's
take
a
everything.
Result.
That is a solid result. That team was, to me, the 9 Pandas team underperformed where I thought they should be, but either way, it's still a solid team.
They're fine.
And then they beat Fnatic.
Yeah, that's obviously the big one, right? Like, and that's a best of 3 as well, right? That's the big result.
They 2-0'd Fnatic in a best of 3.
I mean, Fnatic, again, not Fnatic you might... When you hear the name Fnatic, it's not the Fnatic you're expecting, but it's still a pretty big result. They didn't look horrendous, Fnatic. They didn't look terrible. But.
And this Fnatic wasn't... Well, actually, we'll talk more about Fnatic in comments when we get to them on the list. I have some words about Fnatic. Not bad, not good, just words. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that wraps up our top 5. So 3 more spots left that confirm make it to the major, and then we'll have our 3 last chance qualifier spots. So out of all of these teams, Eternal Fire does make it. We are correct. They had a little bit of a stumble. They were all over the place, kind of leading in. They won, they lost, they won, they lost, then they won, and they got through. So winning against NIP, lost to G2, win against Falcons, lost to FaZe, win against BetBoom. So basically, all I know about Eternal Fire is what I knew before, is that they're not a top 5 team in the world.
But they're not far off.
But they're better than the rest of the teams.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad Eternal Fire qualified because I think the major would be worse without them.
I think if you actually went and you saw, hey, this is going to be the Eternal Fire, like, this is who they're going to play, and you didn't give me scores, I'd probably put it exactly as what happened.
Pretty much.
I wouldn't have said Eternal Fire would have beaten FaZe or G2.
No. I mean,
but I would have said
always
they
think
would have
they
beat
had a
everyone
chance
else.
against either of those, but
Yeah, I think they would have had a chance, but I don't. It wouldn't have been if I was a betting man, right? And I went to each of these matches before they happened and went and bet on it. I would have made money.
Yeah,
which is interesting because not all the time we do that.
Introducing our betting spot. No, I'm joking.
So 2 more teams in the 6 to 8 that make it through confirmed. One of them will be Omcall, who we had talked about.
I don't know how this team got through. I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah,
I watched. If you go back to last week's podcast, I was watching them play NIP during that, trying so hard not to have a mental breakdown. That game was terrible. It was so bad.
I'm going to remind everyone about this Omcall lineup because if you're new to watching Counter-Strike and you're just tuning in for the major shit, which I welcome, you should listen to us every week, but welcome. Omcall is the former Entropic lineup. They've been around for about ever. But they keep bouncing between teams. So Crad, Forrester, and Nickelback are the people you know. Travis and Icy are the new kids on the block. Travis has been really, really good. And I think there's a caster named Travis as well in Counter-Strike. And I think it's really funny that there's just a Russian guy.
He was just really happy that he got his stickers.
Travis.
Yeah. He just wanted his stickers, which, fair enough.
Which I think is...
I was quite fortunate with the name I chose.
Yeah. You just got to find the esque part.
Yeah, I need a player to come up who's called there's got to be some Spanish player called.
You need Esquire. You could get an Esquire.
I need to rub out the IR.
You'll figure it out. You just put a North sticker there.
Yeah, good shout.
Easy. So yeah, Omcall made it through. Lost to Enterprise 13-9. Beat NIP, lost to Fnatic, beat Falcons, beat 9 Pandas. Realistically, I know nothing about this team. And that's not I know nothing about the players. I know who the players are and stuff. But
the map against NIP is giving me no faith in them whatsoever. I'll say that.
So every team that they played, spoiler alert, either did not make the major or only made the last chance qualifier. They did not play anyone that actually made the major.
When you put it like that, that's... I thought you were afraid you either didn't make the major or went through. Hang on, that is the only 2 options. None of them got through. That does say a lot.
There was no... If you made the cut at major teams versus everyone else, including the last chance qualifier, they only beat everyone else.
Yeah. And... Again, that map versus
actually, let me rephrase that. They only played everyone else. They didn't. It's not that they only beat. It's not if they only beat everyone else, I'd be a little bit happier about it. But they only played bottom half of the bracket, and they only won 60% of those. games.
I'm not convinced they're going to do any damage. But you do never know.
Neither am I.
Major. You really do never know. Teams who I say when they played that map against NIP, I was convinced both teams were going out. Even if Amcal won, I was they're going out afterwards. But fair play to them. They grinded their way here. I don't know how they're here, but I think it's almost a consequence of the groups being so uneven. Group B is just clearly so much better.
Group B, we had trouble with getting. We didn't have any trouble getting to the 11 out of 16 teams that would move on in some degree.
Yeah.
We had trouble cutting down to 11.
Yeah.
This group, we had trouble getting to 8 to just get the confirmed spots through. We had no fucking clue what was going on. So I'm going to make it through. The last team to make it through, which I think is probably the best story, is Saw.
Yeah, so this one's cool. Saw is really
and
cool.
Koi. Saw and Koi are the 2 best stories of making it through.
I think Saw's the cooler story. I mean, Muteris and Roman are I think they're 31 and 30 or something. They didn't go to a single major in CSGO. If you remember, James No Scope and P250 at 15-14 with 4 seconds to go on Inferno that stopped Saw going to the Antwerp major. Mm-hmm. They were so close in go. And I don't know if you remember the heartbreak, these players crying on stage. And this time they got to cry and they were happy tears.
So the player that actually got beat by Jame was Stododo, who also got through. He's not on Saw anymore, but he got through over on Koi.
Right? Yeah.
Right, so that same storyline brings two different teams through.
Yeah.
Koi on Stadado,
and VP is still through,
and Saw and VP get through. So everyone gets a happy ending from that. But this Saw team kind of they took some names in here,
Mm-hmm.
like obviously. Okay, so they lost to VP and they lost to Nine Pandas, but they beat NIP, they beat Enterprise, and they beat Fnatic, and all of those were 2-0s.
Mm-hmm.
Fnatic's a better team than Fnatic's not a bad team.
They're not. They're not a good team either.
We'll talk about Fnatic more, but they Saw kind of fall into the same category as the Omcall guys of like they only played teams below them, except they also played VP.
Yeah, I feel more confident.
I feel better about the Saw guys. Yeah.
Largely because I didn't have to watch them play the worst map of all time against ninjas in pajamas. That does help.
They played against NIP and beat them
comfortably, right?
13-5, 13-3.
Yeah. See,
so
that's what you should. That's what Amcal should have done. They were like 11-1. Not getting into it. That's what Amcal should have done.
Right. Okay, so that's our top 8. A quick reminder: that's going to be Virtus Pro, G2, FaZe, Na'Vi, Koi, Saw, Eternal Fire, and Omcall. All make yes.
Where's Falcons?
We'll talk about them in a minute.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, our last chance qualifier teams.
They've got to be in here.
You may expect.
They've got to be in here.
Yeah. Nine Pandas.
Yep.
Hey, you know what? They had a pretty good time. They lost to Omcall in the last best of 3. It kind of sucks, but Nine Pandas were decent through this event. I wouldn't say that they were a great team.
I'd say, like, again, you kind of expect them to beat Omcall, and then
they were They were fine. I mean, they'll be in the.
I don't think they're getting through the last
chance.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I was gonna say these 3 teams will go to the last chance qualifier. And if I remember correctly, the last chance qualifier, there's 3 that come out. No, just the first place team.
Right,
just the first place
and that's
team.
going to be Falcons. It has to be.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got to be.
The second team going through the last chance qualifier, Bet Boom, the NAFNI-led team of a bunch of Russian youngsters.
More confident in them than Nine Pandas.
I'm more confident in them than I am in Omcall.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Which were more confident in Nine Pandas than Omcall. So great. They played okay.
Yeah.
I didn't have a huge issue. Like they
lost to
they definitely were not the best.
Rightly. They lost to Na'Vi.
They lost to Na'Vi and Eternal Fire.
Yeah, like that. That's going to happen.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah. Like, Bet Boom hit the same thing as Eternal Fire for me, where I said Eternal Fire lost the teams that were better than them and won against the teams that they were better than. They lost to Fnatic in a best of 1.
Yeah.
Fine. They won against Into the Breach, won against Enterprise, lost to Na'Vi, lost to Eternal Fire. That's how I would have probably expected that. They did only beat
Into the Breach and Enterprise. That's not ideal. But
they took a map off Na'Vi. Yeah. They took a map off Na'Vi. They didn't look like absolute shit against Eternal Fire. Again, we need, when we're in the major, we have to put things into perspective of our like own internal head rankings of like, hey, you went through the Swiss stage. Mm-hmm. Who did you beat? Did you beat the teams you should have? And did you at least play good against the teams that you shouldn't have beaten?
Yeah. And
I can confidently say Bet Boom did that.
I can confidently say Bet Boom are one of the teams in the last chance qualifier.
Correct.
Along with
Falcons. So the last chance qualifier is Fnatic.
Yeah. I came into this event with no idea how good Fnatic are.
I still don't know how good Fnatic is.
They're new players. I mean, like, Body is still really good. Like, Body has always been good.
Insanely
always been good. He will probably always be good. He's just a very good player. The two is it Mattis and Cube? Yeah.
Yeah.
Jury's still kind of out on them. I think they're not bad, but
somewhere in between.
This Fnatic team is a bit of a project, and I don't think this major was when they were supposed to be good. So you kind of let them off. Like, this is an experience for some of the young players, and I have no idea how good they are, but I don't think they're going to get out the last chance qualifier. It is weird to talk about Fnatic.
I don't think so either.
But it's kind of where we're at.
But Fnatic's kind of been like this for a little bit.
Yeah. At least they've
but it
actually
feels
gone
like
with a bit
Fnatic.
more of a developmental roster.
Yeah, it feels like I have more optimism about Fnatic
In a sense,
for the
yeah.
next couple of months than I normally do.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm intrigued. I'm not excited, but I'm intrigued by them at the moment.
Okay. So now let's get to the 5 teams that didn't make the major. Surely Falcons.
We
made
must
the
have just
1 and 3
forgotten
group.
them.
Surely. Okay, so Falcons did make the 1 and 3 group.
Yeah.
They did get at least one win.
Yeah.
It was against 3D Max.
Yeah.
Then they lost to FaZe in a best of 1. Okay.
Yeah, fine.
Sometimes. Okay. They lost to Eternal Fire in a best of 1.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
Happens.
And then they lost to Omcall in the best of 3.
Yeah, that's not good, is it? It's just not
That
good.
one's not good.
One's not good.
So,
It's really not good.
I think we're going to make an episode after the major or between the RMRs and the major when there's like a little less going on and take a deep dive into the teams that did not perform at the RMRs.
I think we should talk quite a bit about Falcons here.
We'll do
because there's also something else going on under the surface.
Yes.
So I would actually like to talk.
I wanted to talk into
because
that. Okay. So
I actually want to talk about Boros because there is a lot of talk about Boros at the moment, and I think a lot of it is really unfair. I really do. Like he is. So for context, they went out 1 and 3. Boros didn't have the best event. He wasn't the worst player at the event, like some people will have you believe. And he is flawed, but he's also 19 years old, playing on his first real big team, he's in Nico's place. Like this was meant to be Nico's spot. Do you know how many 19-year-olds there are in the world who could replace Nico? Because I don't think it's very many.
It's 1 and he's 17.
Yeah, it's donk. Like what can you realistically expect? Is he flawed? Yes. Does he do things that top players shouldn't do? Yes. He will die in ways he shouldn't. He will take fights he shouldn't sometimes. That is part of the issue. Like he is very, very raw. But he also has abilities that many other players don't. Like his ability to take and win duels is fantastic. And he has that sort of innate ability that you kind of think in time he could be a very good player. He will have to learn and he will have to take on board some of these things. And whether or not he's willing to do that, we don't know. But I think people are very, very harsh on a guy who is still very young. Like he's 2 years younger than Suhi.
Yeah.
And as much as people point to the fact that like Monty, when he left Monty, they didn't speak very highly of them and they got better. Well, I don't see them making the quarterfinals of this major.
Talk about Monty in a little bit.
Yeah, they won't make the quarterfinals of this major. And they have other issues, whatever. But like, he made the quarterfinals in Paris on Monty as their best player. He's a very, very good duel taker. Yes, he does have flaws, but I think it's very harsh to completely write him off for a couple of bad maps on a new team where he is clearly the greenest player on it.
I want to talk about a couple of bad maps.
Yeah.
Generally, I'm looking at Fnatic. Okay. Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm going to look at Enterprise and 3D Max. Oh wait, actually, okay. My point may be different, but I'm still going to make it anyway. I'm looking at Fnatic's maps that they played through the event. Mm-hmm. They played Anubis against BetBoom, Ancient against Virtus Pro, Overpass against Omcall, and 2 best of 3s. What maps do you think Falcons played?
I would like to know which maps they play, as in like
which maps did they play? Not in the best of 3, but they played 3 best of 1s.
I looked this up earlier.
Note, Boros is an insanely good Mirage player.
They only played 1 Mirage at the event. I noticed that.
They only played 1 Mirage.
Best of 3.
And it was in the best of 3s. Every single best of 1 they played was Nuke.
Yeah. Which Monty, I don't think, played much.
I don't think played much.
I'm not sure I'm still not
and
sure
Nuke is in my head. I need to note that I know that Magisk is an excellent Nuke player.
Magisk is an excellent
has been his whole correct, but has been his whole career. Zonic knows Nuke inside and out.
Strappy's a very good player on Nuke as well.
Snappy is a very good caller, Nuke. Nuke is not a map that I would say, hey, new team, let's play Nuke.
Not if I would if Snappy was the in-game leader. I'll say that. If Snappy was my in-game leader and you've got Sonic as a coach, you're not playing Nuke.
I know, but the fact that you go Nuke 3 times, if you play against 3D Max and they take you really deep on Nuke, okay, you feel good about it because you won Nuke. You play FaZe, you lose Nuke. I don't know if I would just say, oh, we're going to play Nuke a third time. Like, it feels...
Again, it's Snappy, right? Snappy is very, very good at Nuke.
I know.
It's like... I would imagine it's probably his favorite map as well. And he will be saying, this is the map we've been practicing, we're going to pick it. But I agree. Like, Boros' best maps were Mirage and Anubis.
Then they didn't pick it in the best of 3.
Yeah. Well.
They left it up. They didn't pick it. They picked Ancient over it.
Yeah.
And they banned Nuke themselves. They left it up to Nuke Mirage.
Yeah.
And Amcal picked Nuke into Boros, and Boros had a fine game.
I think he was really bad in the second map of that series, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I agree. I think I actually am higher on Boros than most. And I think this team wasn't right for him because this team is going to be a structured team. Like, maybe not structured in the same sense that like Virtus Pro are, but like they have to be precise with like Snappy calls a lot of very fast hits, but they have to be very precise, like to the second timing on Molotovs and flashes. Like you have to know all this util, and I don't think that's where Boros is going to shine. On a looser, more aggressive team, you put him on Bad News Eagles, yeah, he won't speak the language, but their style would suit him a lot more. They would pick Mirage, Ancient, Anubis, and he'd be really happy. He's a bad fit for this team, but I don't think he's a complete write-off as a player. And I kind of want to stick up for him a little bit because I feel like there's a lot of people talking about how bad he is, and I don't think he's that bad.
And because we're about to talk about something else regarding
Boros, and also he has been
benched. Yeah, he's been benched. It took a whole day.
Yeah, he was never going to last. Like, he was either going to turn into Nico or he was going to get benched on this team eventually. Like, that's fine.
Yeah. So you may be wondering in your head, well, Falcons have to go play at what is the event? It's like the Blast Showdown
qualifier or something, or Blast Showdown.
Blast Premier Spring Showdown 2024 in March, at the beginning of March 6th. Okay, and there's like a decent amount of good teams there. Spirit's going to be there. Cloud9's going to be there. Liquid's going to be there. Rare Atom's going to be there. There's a bunch of teams that are going to be there, right? Mm-hmm. I guess NIP will be there, but we'll talk more about NIP in a minute. So they need a new player. Elliot, would you like to reveal the player they've gotten on a month loan now?
It's Nico. No, it's not Nico. It's Simple. They've taken Simple as a rifler for a month loan. Snappy has gone from being the guy who has all of his players stolen from him and has to sort of dig up unearth talents to, oh yeah, by the way, you could just sign Simple on loan for a bit to play with Magisk and Sun Pius.
And Sun Pius.
How like Snappy's sort of his career is not in question, but his abilities as a leader is not in question anymore. And now he finally has the chance to say, like, are you a great in-game leader or are you a legendary in-game leader? This is like his if Snappy is a legendary in-game leader, he will win trophies with it. Like, this is a team there's no excuses anymore.
I'm gonna just say the team name because I feel like we need to. Snappy, Simple, Magisk, Madden, Sun Pius. Yeah. You're telling me that the 5th best player on your team is Snappy, okay? Which makes sense. But the 4th best player on your team is Madden?
Yeah. If
or Sun Pius
Snappy,
or Magisk.
If Snappy really is, I'm pretty sure Snappy thinks he's one of the best in-game leaders in the world. If not, probably I think you kind of have to have that ego to lead a team.
I'd say he's on the outside looking in, I'd say he's a top 3 in-game leader.
I reckon he believes he can be the best in-game leader in the world. He will never, ever get a better chance to prove it.
Nope.
He might not be at the end of his career, but he's had a lot. He's been at a lot of teams. He's had a lot of things. He has grinded his way to earn the chance to have this team. Now let's fucking see what you can do with it, because this team should win trophies.
This is
as much as I just talked about how good Boros is. He's not simple.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
This team has to
like. This is the fucking Thanos Infinity Glove here. Yeah. Like he literally has everything now.
Yeah.
Can he do big snap?
This is what your career has led up to. Let's see what you do with let's see what you do with Exodia. Like, I'm excited. It should be fun.
Right. Two other teams went 1 and 3. We're not going to spend anywhere as much. We're not going to spend anywhere as much time on the other two 1 and 3 teams as we did on Falcons. 3D Max only were able to beat Into the Breach in a best of 3.
Yeah, which barely counts.
This
Into the Breach team is not real.
No. And Enterprise, who was the Polish team the Polish team that beat Amcal on the first day, and we were like, oh, look, they may be able to make it through. They've already got 1 win out of the 3 they need. Yeah, they didn't win anything after that. Okay. We're going to have to spend a little bit more time on the 3-0 teams. So one of them is Into the Breach. Let me remind you what the Into the Breach roster is, because it's... Well, I don't think anyone knows what it is at any given moment. So the Into the Breach roster for the RMR, it's Thomas, Crucial, Rollin, makes sense. Bemis and Masuta.
Yeah, I don't know. They seem to like power themselves to top 8 at a major through vibes alone, and then when the vibes
and Cypher.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the same thing. And then when the vibes went, the rest of the team sort of seemed to collapse. It's a shame. Like Rallon last in Paris was just a god. I don't know what happened to him. And I don't know. This team's a mess. Like BMAS and Masusa, the experiment just hasn't worked. It's fine.
No, they did not win much this event. In the best of 3s, in the best of 1s, they won a combined 4 rounds.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
Not great. The other team that went 0-3, I'm going to preface this by saying that not only did we predict this, we in fact preyed on the downfall.
Oh yeah, we are bona fide haters.
Of the ninjas in pajamas.
Yeah, we are bona fide haters. That's just it. That's just
who have gone 0-3 at the major.
No.
Qualifier.
Not at the major. The RMR.
At the major qualifier. Yeah. The major qualifier. Yeah. The RMR. They've gone 0-3 at the RMR. And have already determined after this 0-3 that apparently now we have to make changes.
It's a cut one. It's a cut one player for every player. One player for every game they lost.
Yeah. So they have cut. Let's count them. Head Trick.
Yeah. Which fine.
Esatag.
Good. I don't
all the haters rejoice.
I'm sorry. Like I shouldn't say good because that's the guy's lost his job. Like that's not good. But I don't think he's a particularly good Counter-Strike player.
Config,
as above.
Which means that they have left 2 players on this roster, one of which I understand.
Coach, DJL.
Yeah, they cut their coach. They cut DJL. They've left Alex, which I get. They just got Alex.
They just got him, and if they really believe in him, then yeah. Alex deserves a shot with a team that isn't with a chalice that isn't poisoned. Like,
yeah,
in my eyes.
And then they kept Rez.
Yeah, he's got a long contract.
He was also the best player for NIP at this event, which is like
tallest
saying that he's the best smelling piece of shit out of a manure. He's
the hairiest member of the Anders Moses casting duo.
Yeah. Anders at least has a beard.
Yeah. He's just got a little bit of hair on top, I think, but it's not a lot. That's my point.
So NIP have stated that they are making changes. They put out what I would describe as a manifesto of change. It was a decently long thing saying we will not stand this anymore. It gave me we're going to build a juggernaut vibes without saying any of that.
We're going to build a juggernaut starting with Alex and Reyes. Again, like no disrespect to Alex. I'm not. I will never be Rez's biggest fan. I don't get the Rez thing. Some people think he's really good. I don't get it. But whatever, man. Like, I think most people will agree he's not the type of player. If you're building a juggernaut, let's not forget there's the quote of Threat saying they need to be on top by the start of 2025, which suggests on top to me suggests one of the best teams in the world, if not the best team in the world. I don't think you can do that with Rez and Alex as much as I like them, as much as I like Alex.
Nope.
I just don't think.
And
just don't think there's a chance to do it.
There's the thing that I would love to see NIP do. They're not going to do it, but I'd like to see them do it, especially if they have such a long timetable of be the best by 2025. They're not that long. That's only 10 months. I know it's not that long, but it's long enough to say, hey, we're going to pick up 3 random Swedish players, but they won't do that because they have Alex as an IGL. They're going to go international again. I don't know. Like,
can we not do the Swedish thing? I don't know why people keep asking for NIP to be a Swedish. We have Swedish teams. They're called Godsent, and they're fucking rubbish. Like, we don't need more Swedish teams. I'm not like. I keep seeing people say,
"There's actually no more Godsent."
What? They're called eyeballers. Or Metisport. Yeah, exactly. Like, we don't need Sweden. Like, there's one good player in Sweden, and NIP pissed him off to the point where he openly laughs at them when he beats them. Nork is like the one good player in Sweden. Isaac is fine, but
Brolin in a group stage.
Yeah, but he also probably won't go back to NIP either. Even if you think Brolin is good, which fine, whatever. Who else in Sweden is good? There's talk of like Nilo, who's very raw. And then there's another kid that people rate, but it's like you can take a massive gamble on these two and then surround them with what? Rez, Isaac.
To bring JW.
And what? Hampus? Like a full Swedish team.
No, Hampus is already over on Bleed, and Hampus will not want to come back to fucking
I don't
NIP
see
again.
any world where NIP can build a competent Swedish team. And I don't think they should try. It annoys me. People go, "Well, they might as well go Swedish because they're signing bad international players." Don't sign bad international players then. The solution to signing bad players is not to sign different bad players. It's to sign good players.
I have no faith that they know who a good player is at this point, though.
No,
I think that's my biggest problem. Like,
they can't be like they're not stupid. Like I'm sure they understand. Like, I'm sure if it was feasible for them to sign a good Swedish team, they would have. Like, either them or Fnatic would have done so now. Like, I think
maybe not Fnatic. Fnatic's been a lot less Swedish.
Sure, but I'm sure they'd like to if they could.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. People say, "Oh, it gives them brand value," but like, how much? If it really gave them brand value, one of them would do it. Like, people really overestimate their own importance. Like, it doesn't matter if you're popular in a country if that doesn't translate to much. People aren't fans of Metisport because they're Swedish. Do you know what I mean? Like, being from a country only matters if you're good and from that country. People don't support Swedish teams; they support good Swedish teams, of which that is a bit of an oxymoron.
Okay. I want to get through this. RMRB will be quicker on this one because it's not over yet. There are teams through already. We have a top 4-ish. We have a top bottom 5-ish. We've got teams playing like literally right now, I believe, or about to play to get the last slots.
Yep.
So Cloud9 and MOUZ are through. 3-0.
I don't know what happened to Cloud9.
They're
just good. I don't really know how. Like, obviously, like,
and for what it's worth, they didn't beat 3 terrible teams. They beat Para, who
aren't good.
We'll talk about later. No, aren't good. But they beat Apex and they beat Vitality.
Yeah, they beat Vitality 2-0. Am I right?
2-1. Spoiler alert. Apex and Vitality also both made it through in the 3-1 stage. Their only losses were to Cloud9.
Yeah. Zywoo just didn't punish Cloud9's lack of an AWP, and I'm not really sure how. That seems like the perfect matchup
Boomic
for
is
Vitality.
just too good. Boomic is too good. That's all I've been told.
I love Boomic.
That's all I know.
Like, if you don't like Boomic, you just don't like Counter-Strike, I think. I really stand by this. You just don't like Counter-Strike if you don't like Boomic. He's just so enjoyable to watch.
2 more teams made it through. Vitality and Apex. MOUZ. I totally skipped over MOUZ. Okay, MOUZ made it through. I want to talk about MOUZ for a second.
MOUZ are really good.
Beat Guild Eagles, beat a static, and then beat Spirit 2-0.
Yeah, MOUZ are really, really good.
MOUZ are really good right now.
Spooky.
They made semis in Kato, and we all were like, "Oh, it's whatever."
No, I mean they were really good in group. Like, unfortunately, the first map the first map and a half against FaZe really sort of changed people's perspectives on how good MOUZ are. But they're really, really good, man. Like, they breeze through the group stages there. They've just smacked Spirit 2-0. Like, they're really good, man. I think I tweeted this because I was talking about it to somebody. Like, Suhi is ridiculous. Like, he can't be this good, but he is. Like when he was on the MOUZ NXT team and they were winning everything, and they said and it was cool to bring him into the main team. So, I was like, yeah, you should bring him up to the main team. But I think there was a little bit of tempered expectations. Like, yes, he won everything on the NXT, but it's a completely different level. Like, he can't keep fragging like this as an IGL and be this good an IGL. Like, that's impossible. Like, at tier 1, it just doesn't exist. And then he goes to Gamer Legion and he takes them to a major final. And you're like, yeah, okay, it was one event, like, whatever. Like, Imma turned into a god, like, fine, whatever. Like, but then he's gone to MOUZ. You're like, okay, this is the real test. Like, is he actually? Was this just one good event and he won an Academy League and that's fine? Is he like a really selfish in-game leader? No, he's just gone to MOUZ and he's turned them into one of the best teams in the world almost overnight. Like, he's reinvented Brolan, who has been just terrible for like a year and a half, and he's just made him good again. And he's still fragging at tier 1 against some of the best players in the world. He's not particularly selfish. He's leading a team full of youngsters to like big results, to deep runs. He's just incredible. Like, he actually is even better than probably the most delusional MOUZ NXT fan thought he was going to be. Like, he's incredidible.
He's so good.
Like,
he's really fucking
every
good.
team he's on just seems to get miles better as soon as he joins. It's incredible. And obviously take nothing away from the individuals. Like, Torzi under Dexter versus Torzi under Suhi is completely unreal. Like, Torzi's just like probably a top 20 player now in the world.
Yeah.
And he was like, there was talks of him getting cut when he was under Dexter. Exertion is very, very good. Like, he's streaky, but man, when he's on, he's hard to stop. Really hard to stop. When he's locked in, he is nigh on unstoppable. And then Suhi himself is a fantastic player who's capable of taking over the game. You've got Brolan coming in, who's quietly quite efficient, and then Yimfat, who's like 17 or something, and just a superstar out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. It's everything he touched turns to gold. You look at Imma not on Gamer Legion, and he's not the same player.
It's the Suhi effect.
He's incredible. Yeah, he's so good. Like, other than Donk, he might be the most valuable player in the world.
Now, that's saying a lot.
Like, if you wanted to buy him,
we talked about how fucking good Snappy was for like 30 minutes.
But Snappy's 31, 32.
Yeah, Suhi is 21. Doing everything Snappy is doing, and 21. Like, yeah.
Yes, he doesn't come with the years of experience Snappy does, but you could have him for 7 years. Like, if you buy him and give him like a 7-year contract, like, you could spread that money out of 7 years. I think if you're talking sort of a traditional sort of transfer value, obviously we don't know the length of his contract or anything like that. But if you're talking like a traditional transfer value, he should be probably the second most valuable player in the world behind Dog, because there was so few other people like him. Also fluent in English, which is a massive plus. like, there are so few people who can do what he does, who are of a similar age to him, and that you like who just make teams better. Like so rare.
And I think the biggest thing, who actually has a track record of doing it too.
This is 3 teams now.
So the big thing about Donk, right, as like the comparison, which this is a totally unfair comparison, is Donk has no track record.
Yeah.
Yes, they won,
which
Cato.
is almost an advantage in itself. Like he's so young.
Like he won Cato. He's been really good so far, but his track record is nigh existent, right? Suhi has now 3 teams that he has come in and fucking won on.
Yeah. The guy is
like, he has been
gold.
excellent on 3 different teams over 2 organizations with 2 totally different lineups, right? Like
he's also just lost his star player and replaced him with a guy who, by all accounts, wasn't very good on NIP.
Well, he wasn't very good on NIP, but NIP is also where people's careers.
Okay, but he wasn't particularly good before he went to NIP either.
No.
Like
there was a point where people thought he was good on Fnatic, but
like he replaced Frozen with Brolan, and they're still going 3-0 at the RMR. How insane is this? Like that's so insane. He's so good, man.
We have to move on, because we still have more teams to talk about, and we are nearing the 50-minute mark, which is a long podcast for us. Vitality, Apex are the next 2 teams that moved on. They went 3-1. That's about where we expected them. Again, as I said before, the only losses they both had was to Cloud9.
Vitality look more and more fallible, though. They looked infallible for a while, and they're starting to look fallible.
They still look like the second best team in the world.
Yeah, but they've now lost to Cloud9, and they went out at Katowice. You'd be a bit worried if you were, French.
Apex getting through, very happy about.
Always like to see Sticko do well.
Yeah, they've seemed to find their stride again, minus the after they had lost JL and after they had lost Kixan. They've seemed to kind of find their way back again, and that's good. Apex being good is good for everyone, I think.
I think Sticko's another one of those players that just everyone likes. Similar to Boomich. Like everyone likes Sticko.
I don't know how you don't like Sticko.
He just seems like a good guy.
All right. The last 3-1 game is taking on right now as we record. It's 12:53 Eastern, so we'll have an answer for this by the end. But let me rephrase that. We'll have an answer for this by the time the podcast comes out. You go check HLTV or whatever. But Heroic and Spirit are playing for the last 3-1 spot. Currently, Spirit's up a map.
Spirit are
They're
going
6
to win.
rounds.
Yeah, they're going to win.
Spirit's going to win, but I've seen weirder shit happen.
I have.
So Spirit probably. I think Spirit get through, full stop. I think the lowest I can get at this point is last chance qualifier, and that's if they lose every single game from this on.
And they're not going to lose against Heroic.
They're not. Yeah. Heroic, they've been okay.
Yeah, Heroic is still good.
They've been,
losing to Spirit.
I have nothing else to say.
Everyone loses to Spirit. It's fine.
Except for MOUZ.
Yeah, except this time MOUZ.
Who win against Spirit.
Yeah.
All right. 2-2 teams. We've got 4 of them. 3 of them make sense. One is Gamer Legion.
Yeah, good team.
They lost to Vitality. They lost to Ents. They beat OG. They beat Para.
I'm surprised they lost to Ents. I actually think they're a better team than Ents. I would.
Overtime game.
Yeah.
It was one overtime. It was reasonable.
I think they're better than Ents.
I agree. Ents also 2-2.
I think they're better than Gamer Legion. Ents, I don't really know what to think about Ents. They're clearly pretty good, but I'm not really sure how.
They won against Guild Eagles and Gamer Legion. They lost 0-2 to Vitality, and they lost 13-0 to Spirit.
Yeah, again, everyone loses to Spirit. It's fine. You can lose. It's crazy. Spirit are actually so good that you can lose 13-0 and people just hand wave it. So yeah, it's fine. You got donked. It happens. It's ridiculous.
The other 2 teams that are 2-2 are a little. They have some competing storylines here. One of them is Astralis, who, noting the teams that are above them in this, kind of makes sense that they're 2-2.
This is a tough group. It is a tough RMR
This is
group.
a tough group. I would like to state that if Heroic lose this game, they will also be 2-2.
But they've already played each other, haven't they?
They have played each other.
Yeah, so I don't think they get each other.
But I believe Correct. There's some Danish stuff that can happen here, and I will be very excited to see it when it happens. If it happens. Well, there's another Danish team we have yet to talk. Two more Danish teams.
So they can't play in a 2-2 game, but hear me out.
But they can play.
They both go to the last chance qualifier. One team can get out of the last chance qualifier. Heroic versus Astralis in the final of the last chance qualifier. After Heroic beat Falcons in it. Heroic versus Astralis in the final of the last chance qualifier for the last spot in the Copenhagen Major. I need it. I need it.
So Astralis are 2-2 right now.
Yeah.
The other 2-2 team is another Danish team. It's not the one you think it is. Though.
No, it's not Preezy. Although it might be.
It's not. It may be Preezy soon.
Yeah.
But it's a Static.
Yeah.
A team that both of us had written off.
Yeah, I don't think they're any good.
We wrote off to a high degree. They beat Monty. We'll have another conversation about Monty.
Yeah.
They beat OG. They lost to MOUZ, and they lost in a 2-1 to Apex.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're better than I think, but I've seen Ecstatic play, and to a man, I don't think the players on Ecstatic are amazing. Well, they're not terrible. Like Crown is quite a good player, but they're nothing
here's
special.
the thing with Ecstatic. So I do need to note this. Ecstatic at this point have confirmed the last chance qualifier. Okay. Ecstatic need to win a best of 3 here. If they want to go through, they need to play a 2-2 game against a team and win. Because if they get to last chance qualifier, they have to face. They will not get through. It'll be Bet Boom, 9 Pandas, Fnatic, plus the 3 from Group B, which will be hard. Yeah. It will be really fucking hard. If they want to go to the major, they need to close
Falcons. I love this bit. It's great.
The last 2 1-2 teams. One of these they're playing right now. One of these teams will go 1-3, will be out of the major. One of these teams will go 2-2 and still be in the major and confirm last chance qualifier. Now, both of these teams canonically need to make the major for a variety of reasons. One of those teams is Guild Eagles.
Yep.
Former Bad News Eagles, who always make the fucking major.
They do, but they can't make it. They're like, things that always happen have to stop happening at some point.
Like when during the Rio Major, we had the fallen plot armor with Imperial.
Yeah, but
there's two. We have 2 plot armors going against each other.
Yeah, that's a problem. This is Dupree versus Bad News Eagles.
Yeah, the other team that's playing right now is Preezy. It's 1-1 in a best of 3 right now.
Bad News Eagles have signed to an org now, and I think that might put a dent in their armor.
You think the David Beckham money isn't helping them now?
I just think they sold out to the man, whereas Dupree's actually done the opposite. He's gone back to his roots.
Is Guild also a messy thing?
That's Inter Miami.
Am I going insane here for a minute? No. I know Inter Miami is. No. But I thought Messi was.
I don't think so.
I'm going insane.
If Messi was in any team, it would be Crew because him and Sergio Aguero are best friends.
Yeah, that's what it is. He is in Crew. Him and
Sergio Aguero are best friends.
I messed up the announcement videos in my head. I went, soccer player.
I think.
Football player, and didn't think.
I think Sergio Aguero might be the godfather to Messi's child. Like they're like really close. Okay. So I think
we've gotten off topic because Crew is not in this qualifier.
No, but Messi's child is. He's playing for Falcons. He's standing in for Boros.
Oh god. Yeah, Preezy and Guild Eagles playing right now. There's plot armor on the Preezy side because Dupree has not missed a major.
And he's not going to miss one in Copenhagen, is he?
He's not going to miss one in Copenhagen.
If they win this, they're 2-2, so they're guaranteed at least last chance.
They'd have a better chance than Ecstatic would in the last chance.
You would think so.
Preezy haven't looked terrible. They played Heroic and OG. They lost to both of them.
We could get Preezy and Astralis in there, and it could be Dupree versus Astralis in the last chance qualifier.
That's what I was telling you. I said that there was some Danish storylines that we could have.
Great. I really hope both Astralis and Heroic lose.
No. We could have Astralis Preezy as a 2-2 game to qualify into the major.
We don't
need the last chance qualifier.
I would love Dupree to knock out Astralis. not even knock them out, just to qualify over them and put them in the last. I would like. You have no idea how
I
much
would
that
pay
would,
so
that
much
would
money.
lighten my day up.
Okay, let's get to the 1-3 and the 0-3 teams. Let's finish this out. Monty in 1-3 team. They only beat Nexus. They lost to Ecstatic, Apex, and Astralis. They have an excuse. Ish. They've been playing with a stand-in. Some Die Young got sick.
He played on like this. He played on some of the games, I think.
I don't think he did.
Didn't he?
Oh, he did play in the best of 3.
Yeah, he like showed up with chickenpox
against Astralis. But yeah, they had played Gizmy instead.
Yeah, who's
which is from the Monty
Academy team, like
Academy team.
He'd like,
which is so underwhelming.
There was an interview.
Academy team. Like,
there was an interview where he was like, "Yeah, I was on my way to a lecture at uni and got the call." Like he was not ready to play. So
yeah, and I could tell straight from that he was British, which meant that there was no help.
I believe he might be Irish. Let me check.
The flag is the
okay.
The UK flag is there.
Oh, okay.
His last name is also Yvonne Spectrelson.
Okay. I think he was on. Was he not on? Is he on Viperio? He was on Viperio, who were a UK Ireland mix, which is why I thought he might be Irish. Okay, he's one of the English ones.
Yeah. So basically, Monty played 3 games with. 2 games with Gizmy. They played against Ecstatic and their win against Nexus. Some Die Young came back for their game against Apex, but pretty
much.
Yeah. Okay. OG is the other team here. They did not look good.
No, just I don't know, man.
But Heavy God did look good.
Yeah, which is kind of what we think. Like, OG aren't very good. They've signed a couple of good players, but they just seem to surround them with players. Like, I don't know. I kind of liked Keto, but I'm not sure I do anymore. Like,
yeah, this team feels like mid, and Heavy God, who is slightly above mid.
Cool name as well.
Great name, and completes our Israeli super team.
Yeah, that's true.
That would be a 5th Israeli.
Who's the in-game leader?
Well, the Israeli super team would be Nertz, Spinks, Flame Z, Exertion, and Heavy.
So we're just going without in-game. I mean, Exertion second calls.
There's no in-game leader and no opera.
Exertion second calls.
So Exertion would be the in-game leader. There's no opper. I think Spinks secondary ops on Vitality.
Oh, I don't like that.
So
I don't want Spinks off this team. I think
this I don't know.
Exertion, like, and Exertion in his fallen arc. That's what we need.
They don't need an IGL because they get Spray as their coach.
That's exactly why they need an
everything
IGL.
Would be good.
Love you, Daniel.
Maybe he gets the promotion to coach of the main NIP team.
I've played with Spray. He's pretty good.
We've had Spray on this podcast.
No, but, I mean, I've played CS with him. He is better than me.
Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, he's actually.
Did he play?
I imagine he's actually, compared to most coaches, he is probably quite good, but he's also not as good as Spinks.
I meant he should get pulled up to the coaching.
I thought you meant get him in as the IGL.